Hey everybody, this is Ms. Lynn. We are going to do our week notes for this week. This week we're going to look at algebraic expressions and understand how to translate them, how to write them, and being able to read them and evaluate them. So this week we're going to start off slow. We're going to start off with our notes on our Jamboard. And we are looking at the first frame in your Jamboard. So you're going to figure out and find the value of each symbol. So you can pause here and answer these questions there. I'm going to answer them now. I just find the value for each of these symbols. So for this diamond here, this symbol, this diamond, I know that 4 plus 3 is going to give me 7, so I'm going to write that down. And in the next equation, even though I have my answer, I have to figure out what the value of this star is. And that is... let's see, let me do the opposite. Since I'm subtracting 2 on this side, I'm going to add 2 on this side. I'm going to do the inverse, or the opposite. So 6 plus 2 gives me 8. Let me just check my answer and make sure. Okay, 8 minus 2 equals 6. So yes, 8 is the answer. And again, circle your answer. These equations kind of get messy, so I want to make sure you're able to figure out what your answer is by circling it. It sticks out better that way. Okay, and the next one's that plus sign. So 6 times something gives me 30. That would be 6 times 5. And then 20 times diamond gives me 20, divided by diamond gives me 5. That diamond is going to be 4. So if you have those correct, good for you. Okay, so we're going to go on to our next frame, and we're going to evaluate the expressions now. Okay, so you're going to take another couple of minutes here, pause the video, and now I'm going to give you the answers for the next frame. So the first thing we do, remember in PEMDAS, and I'm going to write this right up here so I don't forget. I have to do it in that order. It's kind of like driving a car. If you're going to drive on the right side of the road, you're going the right way. But if you are driving on the left side of the road, you're not following the rules and you get into a car accident, right? So again, you have to follow these rules in the order that they're supposed to be. So we'll start with parentheses, then we'll do exponents in the problem. Then we can do multiplication and division interchangeably, or afterwards, we can then do addition and subtraction interchangeably. Okay, remember with these two problems, with PEMDAS, you can use the M and the D, multiplication and division interchangeably, and you can also use addition and subtraction interchangeably. So my answer for the first part, I'm going to do my exponents first in number 1. My exponents is here. Okay, this 2 with a 2 above it means that there's 2 2's that I'm multiplying together. So my 2 times 2 is 4, and then I'm going to bring everything down and rewrite the rest of the problem. Then I'm going to multiply next, because my PEMDAS says so. I'm going to multiply 5 times 4, that gives me 20, plus 3, I rewrite the rest of my problem, and then I solve for 20 plus 3, that gives me 23 again. Don't forget to circle or square off your answer so that you know and I know that that's the final answer. Okay, Next problem, I can either do addition or subtraction. I am telling you right now, the first thing you do is whatever symbol is the first one on the left. In this case, it's subtraction. So 12 minus 5 is 6 plus 6, and 6 plus 6 gives me 12. Next problem, number 3, parentheses first. So I'm going to do 5 minus 3 to the third power. 3 to the third power is 3 times 3 times 3. I know 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 again is 27. And subtract 5. 27 minus 5 gives me 22, and that is my final answer. 4 times 5 minus 2. First thing I do in this problem is not parentheses, not exponents, but multiplication and division. So I have multiplication here. I have 20 minus 2, and my answer is 18. I'm going to write it over here instead of underneath because I don't have any room. And that is how I do my algebraic expressions for this unit. Okay, so to start off, an algebraic expression is an expression that may contain numbers, operations, that's plus, minus, division, or multiplication, and it includes symbols as well. Okay, it won't include those stars and diamonds that we saw, but it will include letters. Okay, so an algebraic expression is an expression that may contain numbers, operations, and symbols. Okay, so let's look at some examples from our previous page. Okay, it can be anything like this. It can be anything like this, an equation like our mx plus b, or it can look different with different letters. Okay, at 3g minus 2. Okay, on our next page, on our next frame, our variable is a symbol usually a letter that stands for an unknown number. Okay, examples of some variables. Just like before, we had that X, G, any letter in the alphabet. That is a variable. We call it a variable. Okay, terms are part of an algebraic expression that's separated by addition or subtraction signs. So an example of different terms. 5x. That is a term. It's separated by this plus sign, and here is another term. Okay? It is separated by the plus sign. So my 5x is a term, and my 2 is also a term. Okay? I'm going to be drawing different symbols for different terms, because in the long run, what I want you to understand is they are different terms. Okay? And it's separated by this symbol right here. Okay? I'm going to give you another example. We just did our 3g minus 2. Okay? The symbol that separates it is the subtraction sign. My term is 3g. My other term is 2. A coefficient is a numerical factor of a term that contains a variable. Okay, so this is any number in front of a letter. So variables by themselves have a coefficient of 1. So some examples of coefficients include, if I had something like, for example, 5x, okay, that 5 would be my coefficient. So your coefficient is the 5, okay? Your coefficient for 3G is your 3. This would be the coefficient. Again, 5 and also 3 is your coefficient. Okay? So remember, a number right next to a variable, so the number right next to the variable, if it's multiplication or division, okay, so 5x, this 5 is right next to this x, this g, and this 3 is right next to this g. Okay, a number right next to the coefficient means to multiply. Remember, we had different examples of what multiplication can look like. They can look like parentheses. They can look like a dot in the middle of your equation. It can look like this traditional multiplication symbol, or it can look like something like this, where there's nothing in the middle, right here. There's nothing, but they're right next to each other. So that means that you're going to multiply 1 by x. Our next term is a constant. And a constant is a term without a variable. That means it doesn't have a letter in front of it. So some examples of a constant include, let's say that 5x plus 2. That 2 is your constant. If I had that 3g plus 2, or sorry, it was 3g minus 2, okay, that 2 would be your constant. Okay, our next question says label each part of the algebraic expression below. Okay, so you have your 3, I'm going to circle each one so that we know what we're doing here. So this is a term. Okay, there's this plus symbol here. So that means that separates the next term. So this is a term. I'm going to draw a square around this one so that we know that they're different terms. So a circle is different from a square. And then our last term is just this one. Okay, so there's 3 different terms in this algebraic expression, and they're separated by our operations. Labeling my terms, this 3g right here, this 3 in front of there is a coefficient. This g is a variable. This 2, for this 2h, is another coefficient. And this h is a variable. And our 1 is a constant. So let's move on to some practice problems next.